Questions?
What is slashing?
We have answers.
Slashing is like that, you know?
Mm-hmm. And there's a penalty for that?
Yeah, you do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
This is CBJ in 30.
Anything you folks want to know about the fascinating world of pro hockey? Here we go.
Tweet your questions by using the hashtag CBJIN30.
We'd like to remind you folks, keep your questions within the boundaries of good taste.
Here's your host, Bob McElligott.
And welcome to another edition of CBJ in 30. After yet another preseason win. I know I got to get in front of the camera. I'm in the home studio today, so we're kind of makeshifting. But that's all right. We'll make it work. We'll get it all figured out. Don't worry about it. Oh, after another preseason game last night, the Blue Jackets with a big win in Nashville, shutting out the Nashville Predators 3-0. If you have some thoughts about that game, whatever's on your mind, doesn't matter. Tweet me your question and use the hashtag CBJN30. That's CBJIN30. Very simple to do. I'm glad it's time for the show because my day is just gone. It's just not going well. I had this doctor's appointment I scheduled for this morning because I wasn't thinking when I did it. I just saw there was no game today and scheduled something for 7:30 in the morning, which was ridiculous. Had I looked at the schedule and saw that I was in Nashville last night, I would have never done it. But I did it. And I get up this morning. So, I'm already got going on little sleep. I get up. I go out about 6:30 or so to the car. Nothing. Not a thing. Won't start. So there's my morning. Now I missed the appointment, which, okay, let's be honest. Not the end of the world, right? You missed a doctor's appointment. Kind of, maybe somebody was telling me, you don't need to go to the doctor today. Anyhow, so that's how my day starts. Had to get that taken care of before dawn, for crying out loud. But anyway, can only get better, right? Isn't that how the saying goes? It can only get better. It can only go up from here. And that's why I'm here now. Help me bring it up, would you? Huh? Give me something. Give me something to work with today. Don't make me work hard today in the way of having to think about what I want to tell you. You ask me. You ask me, and I will give you whatever you need. And, if I don't know the answer, I'll just make it up. You think I would do that? Perhaps. Big win for the Blue Jackets, as I said last night in Nashville, shutting out the Predators 3-0. In the time that I've been here, and I'm going into season number 6 here with the Blue Jackets, that could very possibly be the best I've seen the Blue Jackets perform in Nashville. Now, it had its blemishes, don't get me wrong. But to go in there and play like that and come out with that result, that was pretty good. And it wasn't their best. It wasn't Curtis McElhaney's best hockey. Let's say that. Let me put it to you that way. It wasn't his best hockey. He admitted it after the game to me. He fought the puck. But the bottom line is the team got the job done. And they helped him secure a victory and a shutout last night. And they were good. And I thought the kids were good. I thought everybody was pretty good. As a matter of fact, let's hear, I have Todd Richards stuff here from last night. Hold on. Let's do what did Todd Richards, the Blue Jackets head coach, have to say about that game last night. Let me just, when he and I talked afterwards, and we had a video problem with this last night. That's why I'll play the audio for you right now. Let you listen to what head coach Todd Richards had to say about last night's game.
Okay. Well, Todd, I know you took some penalties, probably more than you liked in the early part of this game, but your team survived that. Did you like how they got better as this game went along?
It's one of those things. I think traveling in, it started the same way in Pittsburgh too. It looked like we were a little flat. We didn't have the legs that we wanted to start the game, and I think a lot of that had to do with the travel and just the day. But I thought, and then penalties. So you're killing penalties. You're wasting a lot of energy trying to do that. So once we got past that, I liked our game, and even the first period. I'm not always worried about the shot clock and what that says. You come back in and you take a look at the scoring chances for and against, and a lot of it was on their power play. And we did a good job in the offensive zone. We just got to do a better job. Again, becoming a better shooting team Too many shots getting blocked, too many shots missing the net. But I thought we had some good offensive zone time in the first.
How did you like the play of especially the 3 first-rounders in Dano and Reichel and Wenberg tonight?
They were all very good. They truly were, all of them. They worked hard. Kirby looked fast. He worked extremely hard. Daniel was physical, worked hard. Wenberg a little bit different because a little bit more skill. And and in fairness to the other guys, Wenberg was put out in more positions where, you needed to be skilled. And Kirby and Marco have that skill, but so it's a little bit different. But I thought all 3 guys played a real good hockey game.
Curtis admitted he fought the puck a little bit tonight, but everybody was there to pick it up, even if there was a rebound. And what does that mean to you, that total team play, seeing it at this point, just with another week to go before you play for real?
What I like about the game is we were better. We talk about getting better. I think we were better this game than our last Pittsburgh game. And there's still areas, it's a couple turnovers here and there that turn into scoring chances. And, the self-inflicted stuff that we do that just make it harder on ourselves. You want to try to eliminate that from your game. I don't think you're truly going to get rid of all of it, because in the NHL and how good teams are and how they pursue pucks, and I think ice conditions too play a part of it, just with the puck bouncing and rolling. But Curtis made some big saves when we needed him to make saves, and I really thought the guys did a good job in front of him.
That is head coach Todd Richards after last night's game and their 3-0 win over the Nashville Predators last night on the road. And, he obviously, Jody and I on the radio broadcast last night, we were kind of speculating what he might say after the game, slow start, penalties. And yes, he touched on all of that, obviously. But the team did get stronger as it went on. And those young guys, they did play well last night, whether it was the Marco Danos, the Kirby Reichels, the Alexander Wenberg, they all played really well last night, that's a great sign, especially with the situation the Blue Jackets are in right now, learning that Boone Jenner is going to be out a number of weeks, 4, 6, 8, take your pick, who knows. I know this about Boone Jenner. He's going to come back as soon as he possibly can. There's no question about that. But he's got the injury to his hand that he suffered after being struck by a puck on Sunday and is going to miss weeks. So that puts you in a situation. I was going to say a potential situation. It still puts you in a situation no matter what. Whereas you projected perhaps a top line of Boone Jenner, Ryan Johansson, and Nathan Horton, and none of those guys, as of right this second, are available for the opening game in Buffalo next Thursday night. So that's a difficult situation. Let's just put it for what it is. It's a difficult situation when you're counting on having certain people and then they're not there. Now, let's break it down a little bit further and get realistic about it, to be honest with you. And let's start with Nathan Horton. It's very easy to be upset about the Nathan Horton injury, and we all should be. But there's another standpoint here, whereas remember last year, what did he play, 16 games? He was really – and he wasn't playing in the playoffs. He was really he was there, but he wasn't for most of the season. He's a huge threat when he's healthy. He's just the kind of players the Blue Jackets want and need. I understand all of that. But you did a lot of what you did last year without him in the lineup. So when you look at it from that standpoint, I hope that makes you feel a little bit better. It makes me feel a little bit better. And I want Nathan Horton there just as much as the next guy. But if he's not there, I've already seen this team perform without his presence and have success in doing so. So, I look at that one and I go, well, okay, maybe you can do without this guy. And then the Ryan Johansson thing, that one goes without saying because that one's just frustrating. There's nothing wrong with the kid except he doesn't have a contract. There's no injury. There's no reason for him not to be playing. He just doesn't have a contract. So that's a frustrating part of it. Can you do without him? Well, he did a lot of great things last year, but in the past, I know everybody – we always preach about let's not talk about last year and let's talk about this year and all that stuff. But no, let's go back just for this instance in itself. 2 years ago, he did not have a career year, and the team almost made the playoffs. So, again, they have performed in the past without him. Was it good enough? No, it wasn't good enough, but they've done it, okay? A lot of the guys that are here have done it. So, just put that in your mind. The Boone Jenner one hurts. It does hurt. And I'm not going to downplay that whatsoever because this kid is such a big part of this team. the way he plays with his heart and his character, and he produces. And he epitomizes, to me, he just epitomizes Blue Jackets hockey and what it's all about, and the way he plays it. So that's a loss, no doubt. So now you're without potentially one entire line. So going into this camp, you're looking at, well, maybe this guy or this guy can win a spot. Well, now maybe it's 5 guys. Maybe it's 4 or 5 forwards that wind up getting a spot. And the battle is really on. And to me, again, after watching Michael Chaput last night, again, he has been great in this camp. To me, he's been the standout guy of camp. He has made good impressions every time he's gone on the ice. Last night, there was a time where he was centering Jerry D'Amigo and Jared Bull. Now, that could potentially be a 4th line on any given night in the NHL. So I don't think that was coincidence that he would be on the ice with those 2 guys at the same time. He was penalty killing last night. He was winning his faceoffs. I think he's been great, and I think he would be a great fit for this team coming in that 4th line center position. I do. I think he would fit there very well. And we'll see if he gets that opportunity. We'll see what happens there. And again, you've got Mark Letestu, who you kind of have penciled in that spot in the middle of the summer, but Mark can play anywhere. And that's another wild card for you, as a matter of fact. To be completely honest with you, the fact that Mark Letestu can play center or wing and can play wherever, that really gives you something to have a utility guy like that who would be on a 4th line, but, oh, wait, doesn't have to be, can produce in the top 6 or the bottom 6. So he becomes a really valuable piece of the puzzle now because you can move him around to wherever you happen to need him. And maybe they need him on the wing on one of the top 2 lines as opposed to playing center. Or maybe he goes into the middle and Dubinsky slides out and plays on the wing all the time. Whatever. There are options with these players. And then you've got a guy like Alexander Wenberg who's really doing some good things in this camp and playing well in these preseason games. And he's a centerman. And he's a former number 1 pick. And, yeah, he'll be learning on the job once the regular season comes. I get that. But he's a pretty smart player. And just watching the things that he's been doing in this camp has been impressive. When he's on the ice, watching the little plays he makes have been impressive. I thought Marco Dano played really well last night, to be honest with you. I thought he looked extremely comfortable playing alongside of Artem Anisimov. They just seemed like they clicked. It just clicked. And Hartnell was on that line. They were good. They, created chances. They did the things they had to do. So Dano's pushing for a spot. Kirby Reichel, you just heard Todd Richards talk about his impressions of Kirby Reichel. He liked him last night and what he did. There's another guy. You have 3. I don't want to downplay the injury factor or the holdout factor. It's not a holdout. He doesn't have a contract. It's a holdout to you and me, but technically on paper, he just doesn't have a contract. But I don't want to downplay any of the guys that aren't around right now, but you have what a lot of other teams don't have. No other team has. You have 3 guys that were taken in the first round 2 years ago that are developing at a rapid pace and might be ready to play in this league. 3 of them, not 1. You have 3 of them. So maybe to some extent they all get plugged in there to do something. That's the great thing about it. There are options. There's depth. There's things you can do. You still have weapons. Are they the weapons that you're missing? I don't know. No, right now, no, they're not. No doubt. Because the other guys have already done something. They've recorded numbers. They've, played in the league for at least a year. They have a history. These new guys have no NHL history. But they can make history. And that's what they're trying to do in these preseason games. So it stinks. And everybody's going through it to some extent or another. Injuries. Let's think about the preseason. I mean, you've got to play the games. You've got to get ready. You've got to get your game tuned up and tuned in. But every time you play the game, you run the risk of an injury, whether it be a slight injury or a big injury, or even when you practice with Boone Jenner. Case in point. Just happens. It's all part of the game. John Davidson likes to call it curveballs. Bunch of curveballs. So keep your hands back. Don't get too far out on that front foot. Be ready to hit the curveball. All right, what do you got for me today? What do you have? What do you have? Because what do you got is terrible English grammar. It's just bad. So what do you have for me today? That's way better. Let's start with Fro. And Fro says, if a deal were done with Ryan Johansson by Friday, would we see him in the lineup Saturday? I would doubt it. I guess I can't say no because I'm not the coach. I'm not the general manager. I don't know exactly what he's been doing. I know he's been skating, but I don't know to what extent and what kind of shape he's going to be in coming into this camp. So I can't tell you for sure. My first thought is, no. But it is the last preseason game, so maybe if they wanted to get him in, I don't know. But I just, here's what I really hope. I hope that your question is one that's really seriously being asked by Friday, because it sure would be nice to have him back. That sure would be nice. Benjamin Phelps, who do you think has the best shot to make the roster? Wenberg, Chaput, Gibbons, etc. Again, I think Michael Chaput, if it was me deciding right now, Michael Chaput would be a lock on my list. I'd put him in. I think he can be fourth line center. I think he's a younger version of Derek McKenzie. And I don't say that lightly because I have great respect for Derek and what he did in his time in this organization and what he brought to the table. And I think the on-ice factor, I think Michael Chaput can be a younger version of that. Play with that energy, understands the role, finishes his checks, gets gritty and dirty in the corners, stealing pucks, sticking the lane, deflecting passes, deflecting shots, blocking shots, all of that. We've seen every bit of that in this preseason. So if I were making a list, Michael Chaput would be on my list. Boom, done. You're here, kid. Grab a uniform. Get a bag. Let's go. But I'm not making that list. And Alexander Wenberg, I think he's got a pretty good shot. And again, the injury situation is going to determine a lot and who takes those spots. But Wenberg has played, as we told you at the beginning of camp. What was the scouting report? We've talked about this time and time again. If you're looking for a flashy player that's going to go out there and dipsy doodle and then rocket a shot under the crossbar, don't look at him. If you're looking for a player that's going to go out there, he's going to be in the right position. He's going to have his stick on the ice when it needs to be. He's going to be knocking pucks out of the air when he needs to do it, when he needs to be in front of the net, when he needs to be to the side of the net, when he needs to be at the high slot. If you're looking for the guy that is going to be positionally sound, create opportunities, dish the puck off, give other guys chances to score, and if they don't be there to pick up rebounds and jam away, if that's the guy you're looking for, I think that's your guy. I think that's your guy. And I think he's making a great case that he should be on this team. Smart player, really smart player. You can see it. The old hockey sense thing they talk about, just knowing, just reading things in front of you. We talked about this last year with Ryan Murray, what great hockey sense he has on the blue line. The fact that he looks at the game almost differently than some guys, where he looks at the game and he sees everything and he makes the appropriate play at the appropriate time. I think Alexander Wenberg is in that very same boat. And he's done a really good job in the games he's played in, making those smart decisions and making those plays. And last night was no exception. He was good last night. Let's see. Charles Anderson. Are any of our quote-unquote healthy blue line strong enough to play forward to help out the quote-unquote ravaged forwards? No. You don't want to get into that situation. You don't want to start. This organization is deep enough right now to where you're not even thinking about that. You're not thinking about, well, what defenseman could I put up front to play? But to me, and maybe this is completely wrong. This is my opinion, but that's what this show is about, my opinion. Whenever you have a team that's putting defensemen at forward, and they're trying to sell this thing like, well, we think that he would be a good fit here because of this strength and that strength. No, what you're telling me is he's not good enough of a defenseman to play there on a regular basis. So we're going to try to jam him in. I mean, last year, Pittsburgh was putting Derek Englund at forward. Why? Because he wasn't good enough defensively to put in there every day for them. He couldn't crack the top six for those guys. Now, they used him at forward, and he got some goals and all that. Yay, yay, yay. But the bottom line is, who wants to be doing that? That also tells me, and this came into play with Pittsburgh, that also tells me that your depth in your organization of forwards stinks because you don't feel you have a better forward than putting a defenseman up on the wing. Okay. Well, you're in trouble. And again, what happened to Pittsburgh? I mean, England ended up leaving anyway. But the bottom line is that they didn't have enough depth at forward. And the GM got fired for it, the coach got fired for it, and a whole bunch of people got fired for it. And they went out and got a bunch of bottom six wingers. So they didn't have to put a defenseman on the wing. So, no, Charles. We're not going in that direction. No. That, to me, that's desperate times, desperate measures. No need. No need. Let guys play in the roles that they're best at. That's what's going to happen here. Michael Strominger says, let me start again. Michael, I'm sorry. That was an awful start for me. I was thinking too much. Let me shut this off and just read it. Let young guys cover injuries or trade for a vet scoring forward like Patrick Sharp. Oh, that'd be great, right? Who are you going to trade for Patrick Sharp, though? What are you going to do? What would you have to take away from what you have to get a guy like that? And when you bring in a guy like that, that's not to cover injuries. That's like taking somebody's job because he's going to play all the time. I say let the young guys cover the injuries. Why not? Because when you start doing the other stuff, then you're disrupting chemistry. You have these pieces and now you're changing them before you even know if you really need to. To be honest, I mean, your first week you open in Buffalo. Last year they were the worst team in the league. And I'm not saying they're not going to be a better team this year. Well, if they are, they're nuts because everybody wants to be last and win the lottery to get Connor McDavid. But anyway, but go beyond that. The fact is that, you've got the Sabres and the Rangers. And with the Rangers, you got Lundqvist, and I get it, but they also suffered a whole bunch of defections and guys left last year. They're a different team. They've got injuries. I mean, what does it hurt you to play a couple of games, let the kids play, and see what they do? I don't think it does. And I don't think it does based on watching the kids play the preseason games. Take last night, for example. If you go back to, I don't know, who the heck have we played in the preseason? You go back to the first St. Louis game or go back to the Carolina game in Carolina or the first Pittsburgh game. One of those early games is what I'm trying to say, and I'm really trying to remember who we played. Go back to those early games. When they're playing in those games and you look on both sides and you look at the rosters and you go, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Okay. Last night's game was not like that. There was no Shea Weber last night, but there was a Roman Josi. There was a Seth Jones. There was an Ole Jokinen. There was Philip Forsberg. There was a James Neal. NHL players. Pekka Rinne was in goal. It was an NHL lineup. That's the point where we are in camp. And the young guys, Dano, Reichel, Wenberg, Chaput, they went out there and played with the big boys and did not look out of place. So based on that, based on the way they have played, based on the competition they played against last night, because if they come out there tomorrow and they play against the big boys and they look totally out of sorts, then maybe I go, maybe what I said yesterday wasn't good. But I'm basing it on what I've seen to this point in what's going on with these kids. I'd let them play and cover the injuries. To me, if you go and make, what am I trying to say? Don't panic. Don't panic. It's easy for me and you to panic, okay? General managers make their money by not panicking. They've got to be calm. They've got to be calculated. They've got to make the right decision at the right time. Panic management will soon have you out of management, right? I wouldn't panic. I'm looking at these kids and going, these kids are talented. These kids can play. That's why they were selected where they were selected. And they want to be here, and they're putting the push on. I'm telling you, these young guys are making decisions tough. I guarantee they are. They're making it tough. Because I'll bet you going into camp, there were some guys that they went, well, if he can do this, and if he can, well, we'll see. And some of those guys, the conversation now might be, well, he can do it. So what are we going to do with him? That's what I think. The guys they're putting the push on. Putting it on. Dave Campbell says, do you agree? It's almost noon already. It's fast as 30 minutes in broadcasting. Dave Campbell says, do you agree that the Blue Jackets' preseason record is primarily due to the strength of the prospect base? I do. I really do. You can go undefeated in preseason and come out and lose the first 3 games of the season. I get that. But I think it has so much to do with those kids, because no matter who has been in, that they've gotten their job done. So I absolutely think that record is reflective of the prospect base here, Dave. I really do. Jody says, do you think with Boone going out, it has anything to do with the Johansson talks again, or camp coming to an end? Oh, about, talking with Johansson. Listen, here's what I think. And again, this is what I think. Nobody tells me this. I don't delve into this stuff because I don't care. I don't care. I don't care to dig into all what did he say? What did she say? What's going on here? What's going on there? When the guy's in camp, great. I want him to be here. I can't wait till he's here. I can make some calls and find some things out. I could do some stuff, but I don't care. I'm concentrating on the guys that are here. And I'm not saying that like to chastise you, or I'm not going to answer your question, because I am going to answer your question. I just want to make it clear that I'm not sitting on pins and needles with every minute I'm awake wondering what's going on with the Ryan Johansson talks. Okay? But that being said, they talk more than you know or I know. Okay? When you read that, well, they haven't spoken for a week. Really? Really? They haven't spoken for a week. They exchanged an email. Was there a text? I mean, I just think that you get half-truths. Half-truths. There we go. And it's by design. And it's the way of the world. It's business, right? Nobody has to tell you. They don't have to come to us. You shouldn't get a text message every time that one side talks to the other side. It's like, they do their business. When they're done with their business, I'll be the happiest guy in the world. You'll be the happiest people in the world. Boom. Kid will be on the team. It'll be great. So this is just a long way of saying I don't think they've never broken off to where they're not talking to each other at all, in my opinion. It's always there. It's always open. I don't think the Boone Jenner thing has a thing to do with it. What I think has to do with it is everybody else is signing. Schwartz signs in St. Louis. The Bruins signed their kids. Cody Aiken is signed now. Everybody's signing. And now you have all these examples of money. And now you go, hey, so I saw this guy got this guy got this guy got this. That's why. That's why. But it just gets portrayed, not just in hockey and not just in sports. It's all these, whatever your negotiations are, it always gets portrayed as this guy hates this guy and this side hates this side, and I really don't think it's like that at all. It's business. It's negotiation. But everybody else is signing. So now it comes back to the player. Hey, everybody else signed. This is the money they got. We think we have a good deal for you. We've got it. We've got a good deal. You got to take it. That's where it is. My old GM, my old general manager in Syracuse used to be like that. I got a deal for you, man. I got a deal right here. It was never a deal. He's a great guy. It was never a deal. Not for me. I know. I'm going to go past noon. Can you believe that? I'll go. What do I have here? Let me see how many more questions I have. 1, 2. Whoa, and one coming from Australia. All right, mate. I'll get to you in just a moment. How was that? Luke, how was that? Let me know. If that was bad, just tell me. I'm okay with that. I can take criticism, constructive criticism. Tyler Pavelka says, do you think the depth that this roster has can carry us through the first month of the season with a decent record? Easy answer, Tyler, because I've already kind of gone off on this, and your question's probably been queued up here for a while. Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do. All right, Luke Porter from Australia. Luke, L-U-C, looks like luck. He's lucky. He's in Australia. I heard it's beautiful. I've never been there. Or as they say where I come from in Western Pennsylvania, I've never been. Never been what? Finish a sentence. I've never been there. Okay, there you go. Luke says, who is the best Jackets player ever to put on the jersey? He's got two questions, and because he's in Australia, I'm going to answer them both. Who's the best? Well, that's always up for debate, Luke. Always up for debate. I'd have to say Rick Nash to this point. Maybe somebody else says something. Maybe somebody says Espen Knudsen. Who knows? I don't know. But that's my answer. And you asked me. So there we go. Next one. Oh, that's the same question. It's tweeted twice. See, I don't read ahead. I don't pre-read this stuff. I just see it and I answer it. So Luke asked twice. I'll answer twice. I think Rick Nash. How about that? 2 questions, 2 answers. 2 the same question, 2 the same answers. Whatever it takes to get through a Tuesday. That's an off day for the players today. They'll be back on the ice tomorrow, taking on the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night, 7 o'clock face-off at Nationwide Arena. I'll do the show tomorrow morning from the arena after the morning skate. Back at home, I'm so glad to be back at home. Those road games, preseason road games, man, they will just wear you out. And I'm not saying that, well, now it's out of my mouth. Now it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. It's just you go in day of the game and you come back day of the game, and it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to wear on you. Oh, I had another question here. I wanted to answer this question. I saw it earlier. Amy asked, your thoughts on Dana Tyrell, and where do you think that he should start the season from what you've seen? I think he played very well in camp, but I think he's going to be a veteran depth guy in Springfield. But again, I don't want to take away from what he did in camp. I thought he played some good games. So, Amy, I wanted to get that question in. I know you got that in a while ago, and I want to make sure I answer it before the show comes to an end. Carolina Hurricanes in town tomorrow. I think they're coming in tonight. I think Todd Richards alluded to the fact yesterday in my pregame interview with him that Carolina might come in tonight and stay and be here tomorrow. So trying to buck the trend of going on the day of the game. Of course, they might be somewhere else, probably somewhere else to do that. But anyway, that's what's going on tomorrow night at Nationwide Arena. And tomorrow, the game can be heard on the Scioto Downs Blue Jackets radio network. And that'll be headed up by 1460 ESPN in Columbus. And you can also listen to it via the Blue Jackets app. And we'll have a live video stream of the game. Not only tomorrow night's game, but Saturday night's game against the Nashville Predators as well. So training camp is winding down. And only the healthy will survive, of course. But we're going to find out who's going to make this roster. Who's going to be the surprise guys? I can't wait. I love surprises. So we're going to find out as I probably disappeared halfway from the picture again. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Thanks for being here today. As always, thanks for your questions. Good ones. They're getting better as we go along, which is the way it should be. You know, back in shape. I've got to get back in shape. Players got to get in shape. I think we're all heading that direction. Tomorrow night, Carolina Hurricanes at Nationwide Arena, 7 o'clock. I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning at 11:30 with another edition of CBJ in 30. Until then, Bob McElligott saying so long.